Hey guys, I'm back. Another day in the shop. It turns out that the bag that came in the new BattleBox welcome box, the BOB, Best of Battle Box, bug out bag, whatever you want to call it, makes a great shop bag. Everything I need for getting stuff to the shop. I even got my tripod attached to it so that we can do some camera work today. But great shop bag for carrying everything I need to and from the shop. I got materials in here, I got tools in here, I got everything else. And just the way that it sits and it opens, great for bringing stuff to and from the shop. So let's get started with some cool stuff. I am doing a custom knife remodeling for a viewer. Based on this is not the knife we're working on, but I'm working based on my Contego. So he gave me permission. I'm not going to use his name or anything, but he gave me permission to do a full video on the knife itself, so he can see his knife being built in real time. It's going to be very similar to mine, but not at all similar to mine. What we're going to be doing is taking one that's the actual knife is on the way, but it's going to be a straight edge, not serrated. We're going to take the whole thing apart, get rid of the scales. We're going to sandblast the Cerakote that comes on it off, because no matter what you get when you buy an 810, it's Cerakoted, either that gray or that black, and you can't do anything over it once it's cured. So we're going to blast that Cerakote off. We're going to put a desert camouflage pattern in Cerakote on the blade. We're going to redo the liners in Coyote Tan. We're going to take this metal backspacer out. We're going to put some glow-in-the-dark blue in its place. We're going to take the scales. We are going to do a really cool worn, my favorite kind of pattern in natural G10 color, which I don't know how it's showing up on camera. It is not jade G10. It's a brownish, semi-translucent G10. I think it's going to look awesome, especially on top of the Coyote liners when this is all done. I'm just going to be, like I said, using mine for patterning, because it's going to fit his just fine when it's all done. It's going to be great. So I'm going to get to work on this, and I'm going to have to break my baby down so I can start measuring everything for the scales. Okay, so I'm starting at kind of a weird point, because normally I don't do the backspacer until much later, but I wanted to get this done because I've got to composite a couple pieces here. Unfortunately, the blue glow-in-the-dark material I have is too thin to make this backspacer with just one strip. So what I did was I cut a couple strips on the bandsaw. I'm going to put them together. They're actually going to be a little bit, just a tiny bit too thick, so I'm going to have to end up sanding just a little bit, but better too thick than too thin, because, you know, we can work with too thick. Too thin, there's just nothing we can do. So I'm going to end up having to epoxy these two strips together, but there's going to be a seam when it's all done. There's just no way around it. In order to kind of mitigate that, to make it look better, I'm going to be adding some blue glow-in-the-dark powder to the clear epoxy I'm going to use to put these things together. So it's actually going to look really cool. You're going to have the glow-in-the-dark material, and then you're going to have a slightly different blue stripe in the middle of the epoxy with the glow-in-the-dark blue powder, which I think, personally, I think is going to look pretty good. And this stuff, if you charge it up with a good light source, it has a pretty good glow, and that's with the lights on in the room. So just imagine it, you know, with the lights off. It gets a little tricky sometimes putting the right ratio. You don't want to make your epoxy not sticky. You don't want to put too little glow-in-the-dark powder, so it's just one of those things you have to do by feel, basically. But we'll worry about that. The first thing you need to do, though, when you're putting these pieces together is they are totally smooth. You want to give the epoxy something to bite onto. So I'm just going to use a 220 grit sanding block and just rough up the sides that I'm going to put the epoxy on, so that the glue basically sticks these pieces together better. And I wanted to do this not on the shop floor, because I just wanted a slightly more controlled environment for messing with epoxy, because I didn't want anything getting in it. I didn't want aluminum dust. I didn't want anything. I just wanted it to be nice and clean. I didn't want anything contaminating that blue glow-in-the-dark powder. So I thought it would be better to do this in a nice clean room, cleaner room. Anyway, alright, so I got my strips there. I've got my epoxy ready to go. And, you know, if you are doing this, you want to make sure you get the clear stuff, not the yellow stuff. because I've done that mistake before. I've put glow-in-the-dark powder in, and I've used not clear epoxy, and that messes your color all up. You don't need a whole lot because we're not doing a very big piece, but let's see how much. Probably going to end up adding a little bit more epoxy to that, but let's get this mixed up and see how it does. No, that's pretty good. That works pretty good. Now this can be a little sloppy because we're going to be sanding down, like this is oversized anyway. We're going to be doing all kinds of sanding down of edges and everything and shaping as we put this together, so I don't care how much of it squeezes out of the sides or anything like that. And we'll sandwich that together nice and tight, real good. I've got this stuff all over my hands, but I don't care right now. And it can even get on the edges and everything. We're going to end up clamping this off. Like I said, it doesn't matter how much of it leaks out. I just want it to be even. I want a good amount of epoxy in between. And I want the pieces to be even together. And there we go. We're going to let this sit. It won't fully cure for 24 hours, but we can work with it sooner than that. It's going to take about 5 minutes to set, but you know, that's not good enough for working time. I want it to have at least a good, I don't know, 12 hours before I start grinding on it and stuff. But that'll be fine because I've got plenty of other stuff I can work on until then. So we've got this backspacer put together. Don't know what's going on over there, but one seamless piece. Now we got to grind this epoxy edge down and get it to kind of working size. So let's work on that. Basically, I have one seamless piece. And you can see the glow. Gives us really one coherent blue glow without looking like we stuck two different pieces together. Still a little bit of epoxy we need to sand off there, but this is going to look awesome as backspacer. So that's the exact backspacer from the Contego with the pins that hold the knife together in the rear end. Let's go take this over to the bandsaw and get a rough cut though, so we don't have to do so much grinding. So look at that. That is the beginnings of a glow-in-the-dark backspacer. It will have basically the same contours as the steel backspacer that comes with the Contego, and it will fit the same, just perfect, except it'll be a very durable acrylic material. Took a little bit to sand down the width. Like I said, it's a little bit thicker, but I wanted to make sure it was perfect, so that fits in there perfect and gives me a little bit extra working room to customize it to exactly what the knife owner is going to want on this blade. So with the scales assembled right side, left side like this is the best way to get the rough shape down. I'm not going to finish the scales like this because I don't want to grind away accidentally any of the shape, but this is going to get me really, really close to the shape of the scales. Then I'll just fine tune them without these scales on there and just repeatedly test fit them to the frame to make sure they fit right. Do the rest a little bit more fine controlled, but basic shape is done, as you can see. You can see that these scales are quite a bit thicker than the ones that come on the Benchmade originally. That's to give me plenty of room to grind the pattern in that he wants and to do the work on it, and still have a nice, good grip on the knife when we're all done, and have room to do the milling on the inside. A little bit of a camera switch here for a second, but now that we've got this blasted, and you've got to get it fully blasted, especially since this blade came Cerakoted in the first place, you've got to give Cerakote bare prepared metal to bite into, and can't touch it with bare hands once we have it blasted. What I have to do now is let this metal, what we call sweat, get all kinds of oils, any impurities out of the metal. So I'm going to put it in the oven to sweat for about an hour. And then I'm going to start doing the 3-color camouflage that the customer wants, desert type 3-tone. I'm going to give it one flat coat of the lightest color. I'm going to flash that over. Then I'm going to start using some stencils. You'll see when I place the stencils, I'll blast away the previous layer. Put the stencil there, put the second color, flash that, and then put a third stencil, blast away other color, and then put the third color. So that basically, nothing will be layered. It will be one flat, 1 mil thick layer of Cerakote on there. And that will prepare the blade. Then we'll just have to laser back on a Benchmade logo, an Osborne logo, and then a DocP logo. And this blade will be ready to go, and then we'll finish up the handle and scales. Oh, I forgot to get a shot of this in its original color. So the customer here wants a desert camouflage with a sand, a brown, and then touches of black. I did the original base coat in desert sand. Then I used some stencils to mask off and then tape to go around the rest and blast off that Cerakote after flashing it over, just to, you know, give it a good hold to the steel. Now I'm going to give it a mud color or a brown color, and I'll pick that out in a second. Then I'm going to flash that again and then use some smaller stencils to put the touches of black in there the way he wanted. I'll show you what this looks like though after I put the brown in there and we get it out of the oven for its flash cycle. Alright, fresh out of the oven. Still a little bit hot to the touch, but we can start taking all this tape off and everything and revealing our first 2 colors. And where you would get a raised area if we had just layered one color on top of another, you can't feel anything at that transition point there because we took the time to blast. So it's just one nice smooth layer. This is the point where you want to be really careful to not scratch anything. Otherwise we're going back to the sandblaster and starting all over. As for the placement of all the stencils, I just kind of decided where I would put them. There's no set pattern for this. I just took some camouflage stencils that I printed out on the vinyl cutter and put them where I thought they would look good. So now that we've got the 2 basic colors, let's add in the accents of black to finish off this desert camouflage. So now that the blade is done with its coating, we want to make it look like the 810 that it is. So I downloaded a file and I'm going to laser the Benchmade logo and the Osborne logo back on. So I don't know if you can see the kind of the layout there, but I'm going to try to put that butterfly back as close to where it belongs as possible right there using my 810 as a model. So after we're done engraving, we've got our Benchmade logo on there, just a little bit brighter and shinier than the rest. We've got our Warren Osborne Makers logo. We've got our steel marking Doc P91B logo on there, and then where was the knife worked on? Patriot Armory and Coatings, ready to go. We got a lot more steps though before this is a knife ready to send off to a customer. This is the roughest of rough fittings right here so far. So what you can see is basically that things are starting to come together. So we've got the glow-in-the-dark backspacer that's going to get a little bit more shaping. You see we don't have the liners in here at all right now because I don't have any of the milling out done for the axis lock. I don't have countersinking for any of the screws, so I really couldn't put it all together. But just to show you that everything's coming together, we've got the shape of the scales. The color that you see on this natural G10 here, it won't be that kind of, and this is not jade, it's natural G10. It won't look like that color when it's all done because we are going to back coat this all with flat dark earth. The liners and all the hardware are also going to get a nice coating of flat dark earth. Except for the axis, which is going to stay bare metal, you know, so that it functions nice and has that nice little accent to it. But it's coming along, and when you have that flat dark earth color compared to the desert camo blade, I think it's going to look a lot better than with just the natural color of the G10 there. So we've got everything rolling right along where we want it to be. And this is going to look pretty sweet when it's all done. Well, finished product here. So I made a mistake. I don't remember if I corrected this previously or not. I kind of misnamed the colors that the customer wanted. So black hardware, coyote tan. He wanted coyote tan scales. Originally, I kind of talked him into using these, the natural G10. I back coated them with coyote tan Cerakote, and then I did coyote on the liners. I kind of always thought that the A10 has sort of an animal look to it. Kind of, I could see it as a shark or I don't know, something. So I wanted to kind of incorporate that into the backspacer. I didn't want to use the standard backspacer, you know, look from the 810. I put something that kind of looks to me like bone, like teeth, just a very unique design. So it's comfortable, it doesn't bite into the hand, but it gives you good traction. I did some hand sharpening on the edge to bring it back from out of the Cerakote and make sure that it is brand new razor sharp. And it is good to go. Your axis functionality is there. It is good to go. I really, really like, this is my absolute favorite pattern to put into any G10. I hope that he is really going to like his new customized one-of-a-kind 810. So what do you guys think? Do you like it? I like the really rough look that you get on the G10. I don't sand this. What I do is I just use the 60 grit little drum sander with a Dremel, and then what I did with this one was I sandblasted the scale at about 30 psi just to smooth it out and even it out. It's still got a very good grip on it, but it's got a really nice feel to it. So this will be packed up and on the way. A one-of-a-kind. I hope he enjoys it. The Cerakote will keep that blade nice and protected for quite a while. And another project done. Hope you guys enjoyed the process. I get requests all the time for more, you know, let's see how the work is done and let's see what goes on in the shop type videos. I guess now I gotta figure out what to do with this one, huh? Suggestions? What do you guys think? You can throw it in the comments if there's a particular combination or something specific you think would look good on a brand new 810. It really is one of my very favorite knives, not only to carry, but to work on as well. If any of you out there have something you'd like customized, made just a little bit special, made uniquely your own, feel free to contact me on Facebook. You can find a link in the video description. You can also get in touch with folks at the shop directly. There'll be a link to Patriot Armory and Coatings website in the video description. I've got lots more stuff to work on and lots more videos for you folks. So until then, please remember, you are all absolutely awesome. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will be back again real soon.